Okay, S1, welcome back. We're carrying on with our social subjects topic, looking at geography and Scotland. So lesson 2, we're going to be looking at some maps. So there's some dingbats to get you started with. Just to give you an idea, there are 6 towns you need to work out what they are using the pictures. So the example of how dingbats works is you get parts of words from images. So for example, dingbats is a bell with some bats. So you need to work out what the next 6 cities are. I'll give you one of them and see if you can work out the other ones, and you'll fill that in your Google Sheet and that you're working on today as an attachment to Google Form, which you have your own copy of. So can you work out these different cities? Okay, so you can spend time having a look through the presentation which is attached to this, or pause this video and have a look. So there's 6 different cities to look at. This is number 2, 3, 4, Black, Pool. So there's your answer for one of them, just to give you some ideas of what you're trying to work out. And some of them are more tricky than others. Right, what we're learning about today. So the idea is we produce a couple of maps, and it lets us see where the distribution of something is. So the spread of something is a spread of where cities or settlements are around Scotland, and how people are spread out as well, or the population, total number of people in a place is spread out. What you need is you've got 2 blank maps of Scotland in your document. You don't need an atlas because most you've got internet access because you're accessing this. So you can use Google Maps to find out the name where different places are in Scotland. You can label those on your map, and a little bit of a sense of imagination for your start tasks, certainly, and thinking skills for numeracy a little bit, and a little bit of patience. So here is a map of Scotland as well, just to give you a bit of a hand. Some key features: we've got different types of map. We've got physical maps, the one on the left, and they tend to show you the actual shape and height of the land. So they've used colour here. And the lighter sort of green are the big mountains, and we've got the Grampian Mountains over here, and we've got the Northwest Highlands up here. Absolutely beautiful areas. Then we've got the Central Belt, and we're actually hidden down over here. We've got Edinburgh, and then we've got actually a bit more mountains to the south, as a lot of you know already, just over here to the south of Haddington. We've got the Lammermuirs, for example, and that kind of carries on a belt down to the Dumfriesshire, down to the southwest. And then we've got a political map, which is generally kind of might have, or a human map if you want to think about it like that, where it doesn't just show the natural features, it shows boundaries that are artificial, like council authorities or town names and things that, or different countries, and that would be a political map. So there's 2 types of main type of map we look at in geography, but there are more specialist maps too. Right, your first task is to use your map that I've given you on the slide, just this one here, or you can use Google to find some of the main cities and just put a little dot, or even drag the place name. You'll just need to add a text box to the Google document and to add in where some of the place names are. If you want to, you might even name some islands, or if you want to go a bit further, you might find some other interesting places for you. But as a minimum, try and get yourself 5 or 6 main towns, and some of them are on here, and get a spread of them from the south to the north of Scotland. The towns you can see are signified here by the black dots. The only thing that is on here, which is not a town actually, is some of the names in the islands. You can see they use different font for islands and different colour. And also they've used a triangle for Ben Nevis, which is Scotland's highest mountain. So there is actually a physical feature on here. And you can see that on the left-hand side of the map there, Scotland's biggest mountain. These triangles are usually used to signify or show mountains. Once you get that done, bear in mind, this is your work for the week. So you do have a double period on Monday, and you do have another couple of periods, or a period allocated to yourselves. So try not to spend too much time on your map, or too little time for some of you, and make sure you've spent some time practicing locating things on maps. And that is the key skill we're looking at today, as you can see from the learning intentions, where we're able to make a map. Level 2 or 3 says you can successfully produce a map which shows where people's people and towns are, and that's what we're looking for today. Task 2, you will need a bit of patience. It's a lot more tricky, so that is your top tip of the day, patience. So you can see this is a bit of a political map. It shows Scotland's 32 local authorities, and some of the smaller ones that are all close together or packed together are named with numbers. That's because we can't always fit everything we want onto a map. So to write those full place names out wouldn't be easy. For example, Glasgow City is number 8. I couldn't fit that text and all these other texts around. So the ones we can fit them in. We've got the largest authority, Highland, in the north, down to Dumfries and Galloway in the south. And what we're going to do, we're going to be colouring these different areas in according to how many people live in different zones. That's what we're going to try and work on. And that is a little bit tricky. What you might need to do is, if some of you are clever, you know, to put that into paint and just shade over with a transparent colour. Ideally, we would do this in school, and you would shade it in yourselves with pen or pencil. So if you've got a printer at home, perhaps you could print it out, just this picture, and you could shade it according to how the instructions that they give you, and then take a picture of it and send it in. So it will be done differently by different people. The other option is, if you have this map in the background, you could put a label in of just a box, a small box inside each area with a different colour to match up with the key that you're going to make, and that might be a way of us being able to show that you could do the skill if you were in school. And it is tricky, so please be patient with me. And it's meant to be a bit of fun of playing with a bit of maps. Colouring in is quite a good part of geography, and is quite therapeutic too. Right, what are you going to do? You don't be worried about this table. It looks terrifying, I know. You've got huge amounts of values of population. Population is simply the number of people that live in a place. So Aberdeen City, local authority, go back to the map, is this zone here. It's Aberdeen City. Numbers 32. It has a population of 227,560 people. Okay. And we've got 32 other ones. But let's just think about Aberdeen for a second. I want you to split these groups into 5 main zones. Okay, so one tip, the first zone, what I suggest you do is say every authority between 0 and 50,000 people. Okay, so have we got any there? So we can see straight away, Nahir Elenshaw, okay, is one zone where it has 26,000. That will be one colour. Okay, are there any other ones, if I remember rightly? No, there's just one. So make your zones into 5. If we're going up to 636,000, maybe round up, anything over 600,000 could be a category, for example. But if you bear in mind, we only have the highest numbers. We've got 2 zones of 1 million or more. So have a little think about the data. How are you going to split that up to make sure you've got 5 groups that categorize all of these different numbers? And that is tricky. It is part of the challenge. If you're struggling, you can message me, and I will, when I see you in your meet, give you a key if you're struggling with that, to see if you can work out the map after you've been given the numeracy key if you're struggling with that. Give a colour to each one. You can use one colour in different shades, but generally with us today it'll be easier for me to see. You worked out to use a different colour for each one. And then finally on the map, colour based on your different key allocation, your map. And that's all you'll be doing. So any towns or cities which are 0 to 50,000 will be shaded so on the map, and you'll need to find those different local authorities there. Okay, so if you do have any questions about that task or any other tasks, please get in touch with me, and I can help you, as always. So simply those 3 tasks: start task, your labelling your map, and your creation of your what we call a choropleth map. But any questions, please get in touch with me, add on the comments. I'm happy to meet people individually, and we will meet this week at the usual time, and I'll put a reminder up on the day of the meeting on the Google Classroom too.